Why Africans flee Africa? Why Africans don't stay in Africa and build Africa? Let me talk to you for a second. I'm gonna use terms that everybody can understand, so pay attention. Africa is the hood. Africa is the hood. You don't choose to be born in a hood. You just born in a hood. Some people got it good in a hood and some people got it bad in a hood. But no matter how good or bad you got it in a hood, you'll stay in a hood. Y'all know everything that goes in a hood. The violence, the degeneracy, the gangs, all that stuff. It's the hood. Now let's talk about the reasons why people leave the hood. When someone made it in the hood, what's the first thing they do? They leave the hood. They move to the suburbs for a better life, right? Yes. When someone is targeted by a gang from the hood, what do? They leave the hood. Why? To survive. Those are the main reasons why people leave the hood. The person who left the hood because they were being targeted by a gang is probably gonna leave the hood with nothing. Meanwhile, the person who left the hood because they made it out of the hood, they're probably gonna live with something. That's the person who's gonna move in the suburbs to live a better life. The person who ran away from the gang is probably just gonna start from scratch somewhere else. Now, the person who moved to the suburbs is gonna have kids in the suburbs. These kids will never know anything about the hood. These are the kids that will talk crap about the hood because they don't know anything about the hood. These are the kids that will ask, why is nobody leaving the hood if the hood is so bad? Now that we have established all these things, let's move back to the hood. Let's talk about the people who are still in the hood. Why are they not developing the hood? Why are they not building the hood? Now imagine that you live in a hood, right? You look around and you don't like what you see. And you say to yourself, you know what? I'm gonna make a change. You build a business, you build a store, and you start exchanging goods. You hire people, you're giving jobs, right? Everybody's happy with you because you are helping the community. One of these days, one of the local gangs come to your store and they want to tax you. They're telling you this is our territory. You have to pay. Otherwise, we're going to do things to your store. You resist. You say, no, I won't be bullied. I'm just trying to help my community. This store is also helping your people. Why are you trying to destroy my store? And they tell you, we don't care about that. We want our taxation. You're going to pay. You say, no, I won't be bullied. They say, okay. Now, every time you open your store, these gangs come around to harass you. They chase your customers away and your business fail. What are you going to do at that point? Try to open another store in a hood? Or say to yourself, you know what? I have made a little bit of money from my previous store. These people are not going to let me do what I want to do here. I really tried. It didn't work out. I'm going to take my money, go somewhere else where I can be what I know I can be. You go somewhere else and you succeed. Now you have the possibility to go back to the hood and give to people here and there. Now, you know that you could have helped your community way better with a store in a community, but you cannot do it because the reality of your community is that there are elements in your community that seek nothing but destruction. And you have to make a choice. Either I stay here and I lose my life, or go somewhere else where I can do better than I could in my own community, and then every once in a while go back and help the people in my community. So yes, that's the reason why people flee Africa. That's the reason why people don't stay in Africa and build Africa. You cannot build a foundation on an unstable terrain. You can't.
Hey, how y'all doing today? You know, today I woke up and I seen a bunch of stuff on TikTok about Africans, diaspora, and foundational Black Americans and boycotts and whatnot. And as a first generation African, I kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on it. Africans that are going and all this reparations that they're talking about they want to get for Black Americans and whatnot, they don't got no business doing that. And the Black Americans are 100% right to be upset, right? Because ain't no way someone comes from another country to dunk on you, talk smack, say that you don't know anything, call you stupid, call you worthless, call you murderers and gangbangers and thieves, all, and then say they want reparations for the suffering that you went through. Africans do have a narcissism problem, severely. I grew up with 2 African parents. One of them was extremely racist. The other one, not so much, but my mom's just I don't know. My dad used to see black kids and call them troublemakers. Every time he seen one, he had a problem with seeing black people. And it was beyond me. He would see kids that I knew was good kids. I knew that they were, honors kids. And one night he would say they're troublemakers. Oh, they're just troublemakers. Because he's seen they're just black. They're black kids riding bikes. They got to be doing something bad. That was, shit, when I got 13, because I didn't want to run track and play soccer like other African kids, and I wanted to play basketball and football with the other kids around my age, other kids that look like me. When I wasn't even allowed to have friends, he moved us the fuck away from black people. Where I ended up going to a place where when I went to school, when I had to walk to school in the morning, there were kids in trucks saying fuck niggers and throwing shit at us. The amount of shit that I went through, and then to even more effect, right? We're living in the suburbs, away from most black people. This man started calling me a murderer, gangbanger, and all this stuff when I was like 14, just getting into high school, and he would call everyone he knew, family members, friends, all that, call them all up. Oh, Nyake's a gangbanger, he's a murderer, he's a thief, he does so much, that man spent my entire life. So I don't even talk to that man, because shit, who would? Nah. But anyways, that's a whole different situation. I work with Africans. You feel me? I'm a postal worker. There have been plenty of times where I'll be working and the type of shit that they would say, like I had one guy, he offered to take me to lunch. He was like, oh, let me take you to lunch, woo, woo, woo. I'm like, okay. He's like, I want to show you a bit about my culture. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I know he's Nigerian and whatnot. He was being cool. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I didn't think anything of it until we get to the fucking restaurant. And this guy goes, yeah, man, I see you're a hard worker. Black people don't work like that. They're just so lazy, and you're just one of an exemplary example. Oh, I wanted to lose my shit. I wanted to lose my shit. One, I stopped him. I said, pause, man. And he was like, because he was trying to show me jollof rice, and he was trying to tell me about jollof rice, like it was some great shit. And I said, stop right there. I said, one, this jollof rice is nasty as hell. Whoever cooked it can't cook for shit, because your meat shouldn't be chewy like motherfucking gum. Two, I'm African. Three, that was racist as hell. And I got up and left. Another example. It's actually just like about a week ago. There's a guy at my job named Joseph, which Lord knows that's not his name. What's his name? Mwangi. Anyways, motherfucker gonna ask me. Oh no, not even ask me. I said I was African, because everyone was talking about shit. I was like, shit, I'm African, but you wouldn't, He's like, you're not African. Is one of your parents African? He was like, you're a half-breed, right? Like both of my parents. Oh, well, you never been back home. I was there as a child. Oh, well, you don't have an accent, so how's African supposed to know? Why is that how you judge somebody? Why are you pulling out a measuring stick to judge how African I am? What the fuck? So, hey, I really could give you a lot of examples, because these niggas ain't shit. I had these two Africans try to pull me out the truck saying I stole the drugs they ordered in the mail. I stole it because I'm black. It wasn't because the package came to the station with a fucking hole in it. The manager saw it, right? And I had to fill out we got to fill out a little paperwork, say that the package came in damaged before we take it, because it's an express. I got to go give an empty package to someone. I'm trying to cover my ass. I'll get over there. These motherfuckers gonna try to pull me out the mail truck, try to fight me, taking all these pictures. And then they started running around asking people if they knew me. I was like, bro, I went back to that man's house and I said, look, kid, I'm finna call the feds on y'all, because one, your sons are ordering drugs through the mail, and then because I'm black, I had to have stole it. I wasn't gonna say nothing about your kids ordering fucking drugs in the mail, but now you're trying to fucking kill me. Or no, they actually found out where my car was at. right? Because they was stalking me hard. And the dude that was a mechanic there, funny enough, was one of their cousins. And I was like, I told him, I was like, hey man, you better get your cousins because you and them gonna get hurt. And I'm gonna file a police report because y'all stalking me and this is fucking Texas. I'm finna blow y'all shit. But I had to have been Steve because I was black. I couldn't have had to just been the person that has to deliver it because y'all live on my fucking route. But hey. And they don't even recognize me. I was a mailman for how long? They acting like I'm just some brand new person. But that's how ignorant some motherfuckers are. As soon as it comes to black people, it's an instant hate. Instant. And they don't like to see black people that do well either. Like, you doing well for yourself? Ooh, they don't like that shit. They don't like that shit. It's like you spit in their face or something. I don't know. But my biggest thing, and I know I done seen other people say it, but yo, if y'all the people that was the top of your country that came over here and you're comparing yourselves to these other regular Americans thinking, oh, we're so much better than them. No, you need to compare yourself to the 10% here because you ain't nothing there. You ain't nowhere close. Not at all. Like all this shit, all this arrogance and shit. Because the only thing they really need to do is just fucking apologize. Just that's really it. But people that are that arrogant and that racist and that so into me and all that shit, they're not gonna do it. And that's a lot of Africans. Even when it comes to parent-child relationships, a lot of African parents that got kids here, they don't talk to their kids. Their kids don't want to talk to them because our parents are fucking out of pocket sometimes, and they feel like, oh, I'm your parent. I don't owe you an apology. I don't owe you any respect as a human being. You have to, if you don't listen to me and just accept the bullshit I'm putting you through, you're being disrespectful. And we're not just like a lot of us just don't take it. Like, you see a lot of us don't tell no one that we're African. The only way you could tell is through motherfucking name, bro. Like, no one would know I'm African unless I told them my name and that my parents are from Africa. Shit done got there, bro. And this shit, bro, and all because motherfuckers got egos and can't say, I'm sorry, we were wrong. They wrong, for the most part.
And the FBAs are so delusional that as soon as you don't agree with them and you're dark skinned as an African American, you're a tether. Now I'm cosplaying. Now I'm forcing my Chicago accent. Can you tell that to my ancestors that was enslaved in Mississippi? Or can you tell that to my great granddaddy who fled Tennessee with all of his siblings to Chicago because he unalived the white T-man that was trying to dangle them from trees? Or what about my grandparents that were Black Panthers? I'm not a tether, and I wasn't born on the continent of Africa. I just don't agree with your xenophobic, because the same people calling African people tethers and calling them African booty scratchers called me the same shit in 3rd grade because of my skin tone and my facial features. I'm sorry my great-great-grandmother did not get SA'd by the slave masters, I guess. I'm sorry that when you look at me, you're reminded of your West African roots. But I can't help that. I'm still African American, and I still disagree.
All right, so the video I want to focus in on is the analogy that the African wanted to use, talking about the hood, basically in a sense saying that, you know, the same way that the Africans flee and run away from Africa, Black Americans run away and flee the hood. I want people to understand that every single Black American is not in a suburb. I don't understand why people don't see this. I don't understand why people make it seem as though that, you know, you got these holes of Black Americans out there just influxing and flooding directly to the suburbs and yada, yada, yada. You got some Black Americans in suburbs. But this also goes to show to a lot of people that people abroad, people who are not born here, they don't know anything about middle class Black American neighborhoods. They more than likely have never seen or even heard or even been around one. There are a lot of Black American middle class neighborhoods of which are nice. They are to do. Nobody is out there acting a fool or doing this or doing that. I was lucky enough later on in life to be in one of these Black neighborhoods, Black American neighborhoods in Detroit. And like I said, you know, shout out to my people in between Livernois and Dexter. Shout out to y'all. Much love, respect, and appreciation. What's up? And being directly over there, you were able to see a difference versus where it is that you initially grew up. right? Because as I told people before, grew up in two areas. Well, technically three that you could say, right? Grew up in the hood, grew up in the middle class black American neighborhood, and then, later on when I ended up going to, Oak Park High, I ended up living in Oak Park for a certain stint. I think it was about for a few years, right? For my high school period. And being able to look at the different perspectives, you learn and it teaches you a lot as a young black male directly out here. You can appreciate certain things. You can learn how it is that people move, why it is that people do the things that they do. You learn how to perceive and see things differently because you're not looking at it from all sides. You're not just looking at it from the basis of like, okay, I just grew up in the hood and this is all I know. Nah, you grew up in the hood and then you were able to upgrade to, the middle class area. Then you were able to go directly from there to, the suburbs and all this other type of stuff. A lot of these immigrants here, they don't know what that's like. As soon as they get here, they're usually somewhere close to the suburbs, if not already there. It's not like they just start directly deep in the trenches of the hood and da 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 and all this other type of stuff. So again, they don't know the perspective of a lot of black Americans directly out here and how it is that we live. Every black American does not come directly from the hood. You have a lot of black Americans that come directly from black middle class neighborhoods, which are, again, well to do, are pretty decent. There's nothing really, going on directly out there. You might have, maybe somebody speeding every once in a while. But again, you got police presence that will go, to and from, and especially if you happen to have, a precinct directly, on Livernois. So again, shout out to my folks 313 who's directly out there, and y'all know the precinct I'm talking about. Even though if you happen to call them, they'll still show up late. It is what it is. You at least got some police presence directly, directly out there. But again, like I said before, it's crazy. And irregardless on how it's perceived, we have black Americans here who fight directly in the hood. They make programs directly for kids. There were a lot of shout out to and rest in heaven to a lot of the elders that I was able to be around. Shout out to Miss McEvans. Shout out to James and Mr. Wilson. Some of the elders that I knew. I grew up around them, and I used to visit Miss McEvans, and she was my mom and my aunt's school teacher in elementary school, and I used to go over there and I used to talk to her about science, and she used to teach me, how to plant and about flowers and how to water and how to grow stuff, and the same thing with Mr. Wilson. My grandmother used to call me Dennis the Menace, and he was Mr. Wilson, and from him I learned a great deal. His wife passed at a certain age, and he made sure to always keep his ring on as a reminder of his wife, and he took care of the house. He would always cut the lawn, he would trim the bushes, he would always plant flowers. He had a rose fence directly in the background in the backyard, along with vegetation and other types of stuff that he would grow. So because of them, I have a different perspective on nature, on, certain types of things, on wanting to know more, on wanting to be able to learn. And I also have the perspective of what it means to, plant your feet and, fight for what it is that you have, because those elders, no matter what was taking place in the hood, they stayed as long as life would allow them to stay, so that they could keep up with the home and the block and everything else. The moment in time when those elders started to go away to, a whole nother existence, that's when everything else from the outside started coming in. Right, because there was no more of that resistance. There was no more of that value, no more of that respect. Again, this is something that a lot of these Africans, Jamaicans, and everybody else don't really happen to understand, because this is not the type of perspective that they get to see, that they really get to have. And so again, the main thing that I'm stating is that you have a lot of black Americans that fight. in the hood, either for themselves, for their families, for the kids, or even just the community. Again, there's a lot of community organizations by itself just in Detroit. There's a lot of people in Detroit that will take out the time to even clean up the blocks or even their own neighborhoods if they happen to see trash. Right? That was something that I learned from elders, and I carry that with me no matter where it is that I went. If I just so happen to, I've seen some, trash and it was in front of, my lawn or the curb on the street, I went out there and picked it up and threw it in the trash can. If I happen to have seen that across the street of one of my neighbor's house, and of course, know my neighbors and everything, I will go over there and pick up the trash directly off of their lawn. Right? That's a perspective that is taught because you are around certain types of people. A lot of the kids that are born who are, Black American, who are born in the suburbs, they don't get that perspective. They don't get that type of thing instilled in them to like, yo, if you happen to see that, pick that up, clean it up and all this. Then nah, that's more so in the hood. Because, even though we're living in a certain area, you still want to try to make it look as best as it can, with the little bit that you have, even if it's a little bit of paint. um uh, Maybe you might have to spray the on in a different color just to bring a little bit of more vibrance and life directly there. The main point is we fight. A lot of Africans are not fighting. He stated before, he was like, yo, basically if you're in the hood and this, that, and the third happens, like, what are you gonna do? Open it up another business, or are you gonna move to the suburbs? That's not the only choice. You could band together with other people who are like-minded to sit up there and fight, and that's the problem. And that's the main thing that we keep trying to point out when it deals with a lot of these immigrants who are Jamaican, African, whatnot, or whatever. You guys run from your situations and you're not trying to fix it to make it better, because the moment in time that you run, that's way less resistance. That's way less like-minded people that you have that could potentially put up some type of wall or resistance, because that's all it is. And as I stated before, the reason that we have so many of the things transpire and take place within a lot of these communities is because nobody's caring about the kids anymore. Nobody's looking at the kids. Nobody is trying to serve the children. Nobody's trying to teach them, right? Nobody's, really trying to indoctrinate them into positive and or good behaviors. And there's a variety of reasons for that. One of which has to do with the parents, a lot of which has to do with a lot of the parents out here, where a lot of these parents want to be their kid's best friend instead of actually being a teacher. And that's the problem, because you got too many young people giving birth to young people. So everybody think that it's the all along to get along, and it's not. Somebody has to be the teacher. Somebody has to be the bad guy, and your child should not be the bad guy. As an adult, your child should not be the bad guy. Because the moment in time that child becomes the bad guy, it's over. The world got him. Society got him. Those ne'er-do-wells or the negative people directly out in the community, they got him. All because you didn't want to do what it is that you were supposed to be doing, and you're sitting up there telling other people, oh, don't tell my child what to do. That's my child at the end of the day. And this is why your child is running loose and acting reckless. And you know what they're doing because you allow it. You allow it. And then when things go too far, then you want to run to the community and talking about some, if anybody could help and it's, I don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You should have let it happen back when that child was 3. When the community wanted to intervene and try to give guidance, you decided with your dumb brain that you didn't want the community to tell you what to do. You didn't want the community to tell your child what to do. So there you go. But again, now the community has to suffer the consequences because of the few. Now the community has to deal with the loss of life because the mother or the parent opted not to take the help when it was offered. And now they want to try to get the help when it's too late. See how that works? It was offered for free. But now when things are going wrong, now you're looking, you're asking. That's crazy. You know how much effort it takes to do that versus taking it for free? That's crazy work, diabolical. 100%. Like I said, I have a lot of, complaints about a lot of things, a lot of critiques. And again, these things are still going on to this day. And you can see how society is by looking at the online. A lot of people would like to say that, oh, it's only a few people, but you got to understand, you have like-minded individuals that are with other individuals. So if you see certain individuals out here that are contributing to society in a negative light and they have a huge following base, it comes to a simple conclusion that those people are like-minded and such that if they have the opportunity, they would perform those exact same actions, if not worse. Or if they're not an opportunist, they're already doing it. It's only two ways. Realistically, it's only two ways. An if and a when. That's it. But some people say that that's a little bit too strict, and you shouldn't judge people, in that type of light. When it comes to certain things, you should, especially when it comes to young folks directly out here. You need to, because a lot of them are not strong enough in order to fight past the psychological warfare and the bombardment of advertisements from the media and the music, to really fend that off by themselves. They need help, right? They need somebody to fortify their minds before they get to a certain point, because if not, it's that's it. The world has them. And again, you can clearly see that in the many different actions of from the young men going out here, ripping and running directly through the streets, from how they rap directly into the music, and the same thing for the young women directly out here, how provocative they sit up there and dress, how it is that they allow themselves to get impregnated by the wrong types of guys, and how it is that they refer to and talk about themselves and other women directly in music as well too. Like I said, it's showcasing the mentality that is out there in a type of frequency that I don't understand how people don't see it, or they're not having a certain type of reaction, such as like an oh my god, like yo, something needs to be done, right? I don't know. I probably went off in a tangent and wrapped around quite a few times, came back to the point. But dealing again with what the African male was trying to state, it's a multi-layered, very deep topic versus just the top layer that he was trying to give, where it's the hood and the suburbs. Maybe over there in Africa, it's a little bit different because, again, you are solely dealing with yourselves. You might have, the European government, in the background somewhere with the puppet strings, but for face value, you're dealing with pretty much 100% of your own people in your own communities, in your towns, in your cities. You're dealing literally with your own people. Here in the United States, it's vastly different. The hoods that we have, those have been orchestrated. A lot of Black Americans have been conditioned, psychologically and through coercion, um, in order to be fine with certain circumstances and to, in a sense, not have a will to fight back or to resist what it is that they are able to see. But yeah, maybe I might do a live stream about that potentially, and I guess try to talk about a little bit more, because I'm not even trying to have the end of this video I'm looking at. It's probably about 15 minutes right now. I really wasn't even trying to have it go this long. I really wasn't. But for anybody who made it this far and listened, write your opinions about anything that I stated in the comment description below, and let me know how you feel. And yeah, I think that's it. So catch you guys in the next video.